Hi. One thing that I found massively useful over my time being an artist is doing value studies. They've really helped my understanding of light and dark and shadow and how to create depth in an image. So I've created these worksheets that you can give it a try yourself on, and yeah, they're available for free on my Gumroad, so do check them out there and you can download them and work into the files directly. So I'll explain how to use them. So you basically follow the steps down here, 1, 2, 3. There's an example at the bottom, example of a value study that I've done before. And then these are reference pictures in the middle that I've taken on holidays that I've been on. And you can draw directly into here on the right hand side. So in the PSD, there's 3 folders of reference pictures and 3 folders where you can draw directly into. If we go through the steps, so the first one, just encouraging you to kind of toggle on and off. So this the reference picture number 1, just toggling on and off in that folder the adjustment layer, just so you can see how when you put something into black and white, it's much easier to see the values and see how we might be able to reduce that image into just 3 values. And then after that, we can add these subtle variations down here on the bottom. But yeah, firstly, trying to just do it into 3 and then adding little subtle variations. So yeah, if you look at each of them and just kind of check out, it's quite clear where your mid-tones will be, where your dark tones will be, and yeah, where your lightest tones. Usually the sky is the lightest. Sometimes in color, especially with greens and reds, it's quite hard to see where the value of a green versus a red when they're next to each other. So yeah, putting something in black and white first really helps that. And I've made 4 of these sheets. So these are some ones from Dorset, some from the Lake District, and some more from the Lake District. And these are all pictures that I thought, would give you a good starting point to try out, these things. So yeah, maybe I'll do an example of one. Now let's do the first one. If we go into drawing frame 1, and in sketch, you'll see that there, that layer, you can draw directly into there. Just zoom in here. So I'm just going to delete that because I don't need that anymore. So I'm just going to use the color picker with eye, or it's just there, the eyedropper tool, and I'm going to block in the mid value here. So when I kind of blur my eyes, the mid value, it's the C, but it's this whole thing that's called worm's head. It's in the Gower. There's subtle difference between the C and the rock formation, but essentially let's just try and reduce it into some shapes and just choose any brush. I tend to use the same brush throughout, just to do these quite quickly, and I've made them in masks so you can easily just paint over the edge there. So yeah, I'm just putting in a mid value. And there's some mid values in here in the sand, and then our darker value, I'm painting this all on the same layer, so it kind of comes down here, doesn't it, and it goes up. You can do this really loosely. There we go, paint in that shape, and then we've got all of this stuff in the foreground, the ferns. I'll do in a darker value. They're really close to the camera, so they tend to be more contrasty, and darkest values will be in there, especially if you see like round there, that's going to be, these are going to be the darkest areas in the whole image. That looks dark, but it's not actually as dark as this. So yep, say we've got that in there. Okay, so, and our lightest value, we didn't need to paint it in because I've used the background layer as our lightest value, but you can paint it in if you like, but you won't see it on this unless you made that white, which we can do. Let's just do that just for example. Paint it all in. Great. So these are going to be my, so I've split this image up into 3 values, but it's not reading completely yet. So we're going to have to go in and add some subtle variation, which is down here. So for our mid value, I think our darker stuff, we want to give a little bit of detail on Worm's head here, just to distinguish it from the sea, especially down there and up in there. And yeah, I think that's good. Then I think let's go with our lightest value on the sea. Got lots of waves, so just painting an indication of those in. And also lighter than that sky, we've got some cloud up there. I'm just doing this really loosely as an example. And so I'd also say we might want to use this darker light value for some of the sand. There's quite a few different tones in here. And then for our darker value, the darkest stuff I think we'll use for the foreground. So it was kind of down here, it was darkest, wasn't it? And down in here. There's also some light parts in there. But yeah, mainly down there, down the bottom. And then the lighter of the dark value alternatives, I think we can use for a lot of this part of the cliff. And you could even, just in like some of those bottom bits there, just to help distinguish it, maybe that it's dark enough just there to warrant putting a bit of that darker tone in, just along the bottom. Help bring it out a little bit. And also want to use a bit of the mid value, a bit more of it around the base of this. There's a bit of a shadow, isn't there, of the reflected, of the cliff reflected in the water. And some kind of shadowy bits in the sand. And then there's definitely, we could use that mid value again, maybe even the lighter of the two, just to suggest some of the ferns in the foreground catching the light. And it can be as simple as that, really. I don't think you really need to do that much more there. Yeah, could maybe have a little bit more definition in the sky using that darker of the light values, just to emphasize that the light was coming from this direction, so it's on that side of the clouds. Yeah, and I'm going to leave that one there. I think that's kind of how I was imagining it. You could maybe use a mid value, maybe even the darker of the mid values, just to give a little bit of definition up on the top of this cliff here. There's a couple of places where the light is catching it. but not many. So yeah, so that's the kind of general idea. And yeah, just keep these quick. They're just a kind of warm up exercise, but also they help to kind of give you an understanding of separating out an image into different values. And yeah, I find them really useful to do. They're really fun actually, quite rewarding. So yeah, give it a go and let me know how you got on. And yeah, I hope you find them useful. Thanks.